everyone, it's Kayla, and today we're going to be discussing The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. And if you watched all the books I haven't read yet, this was in it, and I mentioned I was reading it in the video, and I read it, and of course it was amazing. If you haven't read any of the books in this trilogy, it goes The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and then The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. I, being someone who doesn't actually look up information when I don't really know about things or am aware of it sometimes, didn't know that was the order of the books. I thought these were each standalone novels that just had the same characters. So I read book 1, book 3, and then book 2. So you don't really have to read them in order. I've proven that. It's fine if you don't. I didn't feel any different reading them out of order. But then, as I started rereading book 3, because of the little excerpt at the end of here, I realized, wow, maybe I should have read them in order. So, getting down to the actual plot of the book, this book follows Lisbeth Salander, a girl who's 24, 26, I forgot which one, and she's kick butt, and she is super private. She doesn't like people knowing a lot about her, and she's super moral, but her morals are, like, different than people's, but not in a bad way different. Like, she thinks it's moral to, like, kill someone, but she justifies her own actions, and she only hurts people or does something to them unless she absolutely feels threatened by them. She is accused of murder, basically, for 3 people, and she somehow has a connection to all of them. So we just follow the story and watch how this plot unfolds and find out if she actually did kill them or not. I do have to say these are very adult books. If you're younger than 16, I really wouldn't read them, and if you're 16, I would, kind of test the waters and see how you like it. These books do deal a lot with rape and sexual assault, and they have a lot of cursing in them, and they're very graphic in a lot of ways, and they're very detailed. There's a very detailed rape scene in the first book, so just be aware of that when you're reading it, and keep it in mind as to whether you'd want to read a book or not. I know I personally don't like reading books if they're uncomfortable, so just keep that in mind. For those of you that haven't read, I would ask you to leave now because you're going to get spoiled, and you don't want to be spoiled. These books are so good. The first and the third book take a little bit of time to really get into, but once you're in it, it's like a full ride, and this one just starts off kicking from the beginning. Okay, so now leave if you haven't read this book. Okay, but so this book was straight up crazy. Oh my goodness, from start to finish, I just kept turning the pages. It's like a good 600 pages with, that like single space text, and it was a lot to read, but it was so good. I was so excited when Elizabeth had talked about how she was in love with Michael, but then she just shut him out because she's like, ew, love, I don't want to love any. I really like them together, but I can totally understand why she would not want to be with someone who has casual sex with everyone. I really thought that part in the beginning, whenever she's on that island and I don't even know where she's at, Grand Canyon Islands or something like that, I think, and she but she severely injures this guy who she's figured out is definitely beating his wife. His wife has all the money, and he is rude to her all the time, but they're not getting a divorce, and it's because he's obviously there for the money, and they came not for a business trip, but because he knew that storm was coming, and it'd be the perfect cover to kill her, and they get the money. And Elizabeth has figured this out because she's super smart, and she goes and she severely injures him, and the storm takes him away and kills him. And I really thought that there'd be something that came back in the end, maybe the woman would suddenly remember all the events that happened and come to Elizabeth's aid, but that didn't happen. It just, I think, was maybe kind of to show that you hurt women, she hurts you. I think Blomkvist made the point in the story that she hates men who hate women, and it's so amazing. I love her for it, and I love how she is gonna defend any woman that is even threatened by a man. I thought it was super cool how we see more of her photographic memory in this book, and how she was memorizing a math textbook. She went to some college, university bookstore and bought a calculus textbook or something and was just reading it for fun. I would never do that. Okay, so let's talk about the actual murders. So we've got Daga and Mia, who at first I thought were gonna be some ploy, and I thought they were gonna be the bad guys, but they were, and it was really sad to see how, like, everyone was affected by it. So Lander had been there before, and what I thought happened when the laptop was stolen was that she had warned them, and they've been like, okay, you're right, we shouldn't, like, do anything like this, like, it's just gonna end up getting a lot of people hurt. And I thought they had, like, given her their laptop so that she could keep it safe, because she could probably, like, do a bunch of, like, coding and, like, hide all the information. But it turned out that Niedemann guy, who can't feel pain, had taken it because he didn't want the information to get out. And how it was just like a happy coincidence that Solander's prints happened beyond the gun. Like, he was not planning that at all, but it just kind of turned out to work in his favor. And it just shows how the only evidence that they had that tied her to the crime scene was totally an accident. Like, it was not intentional, and it was obviously so, like, circumstantial that it had no meaning whatsoever. I was really sad when they were all, like, trying to track her down, because obviously, like, I love Solander, and so I think she can't do any wrong. But then I honestly was like, you know what, she could have killed them. Like, who knows, she's kind of crazy at some points. It was just really reassuring to know that she didn't kill them. And at first, when she emailed back Blomqvist and she said that she didn't kill Dag and Mia, I thought that she was intentionally leaving out Bergerman's name because she did kill him, and I could, like, definitely see it happening. It just turned out that that other guy had thought that German was getting a little too snoopy into stuff, and he connected to Zalachenko, so they just had to kill him. Zalachenko was repeated a lot throughout this book, and I had a totally different image of him, and then we find out he's, like, in his 60s, and he, like, can't really do anything for himself, and his son, Lisbeth's half-brother Niedemann, like, does everything for him, and they've got a, like, daddy-son bond going on, and he can't really do anything on his own, and he kind of gets Niedemann to do all of his dirty work. I thought that was so crazy. I say crazy all the time, but how he cannot feel pain, whoa, that's, like, a good thing and a bad thing, and Paolo Roberto was talking about it, which, by the way, I love Paolo Roberto. He is so, just, like, amazing, and I think that him and Miriam should definitely, like, get together, even though I'm pretty sure Miriam's, like, I don't know if she's bi or if she's a lesbian. I think she's a lesbian, so that would never happen, but I'm just imagining. Paolo, whenever he was, like, talking about how him and Lisbeth, like, sparred in the ring, it was so, just, like, amazing. Anyway, back to the actual story I'm trying to say. When Paolo had talked about how it could be, like, a crazy intense thing because you can literally just keep striking at people and you're not going to feel anything they do at you, so you can keep going. But it's also a bad thing because pain, like, the pain receptors in your body are telling you to, like, stop doing something. Like, you put your hand on a hot stove, that's telling you to stop because it hurts, and he doesn't have that. So when is it too much to where he is dying and he won't even realize it? Yeah, I think that the cons of that ability are a lot worse than the pros. Lisbeth is super cool in the way that she, like, had done that thing to that realtor because they were, like, they were so condescending, and that guy was so, like, misogynistic and, like, macho to her. It was awesome how she's like, okay, I'll just add him to my list of people to screw over. She goes and finds out he's been doing, like, all these under-the-table deals, and so she exposes that and then gets herself hooked up with, like, the second most expensive place ever. And I thought it was just, like, a single apartment, but then we see Blomqvist go in there after he finds her key, you know, that had slid behind his counter. And it's, like, 18 rooms, and I was like, whoa, she's only one person, but she could just do it because she had the money. I was super scared with that part at the end of the book when she's literally crawling out of being buried alive after being shot 3 times, once in the head. And that scene when she was, like, describing how she's, like, touching her brain was, oh my, no. That whole last part of the book was just one whirlwind. At first, she left her apartment and told Blomqvist, thank you for being my friend. I thought she was just going to go and be like, all right, just kill me. Like, let's just get this over with and you just kill me. But she was going to kill them, and I should have known better because she's Lisbeth Salander. She freaking, like, puts an axe in Zalachenko's face while she has been shot 3 times, is dying, and was just buried alive. We find out that one of Niedemann's, like, things is he is just scared of the dark, but it's to a point where there are, like, images he sees, and it's, like, some PTSD, like, schizophrenic thing. He's definitely got something going on, and whenever he pictured Solander, like, with the little lizard tongue and all that, it was weird. So that was his flaw, and Blomvik finds Salander, and we're getting her to the hospital, and it's okay, and that is how the book ends. I am always so pleased with these books. They are so action-packed, and they all have this meaning of, like, stand up for something right. Like, when you see stuff like this, don't let it pass. Like, be like Salander and go in and interfere and make sure it people become aware of it. They all have, like, themes of bringing awareness to these things like the drugs and the prostitution and rape, and I really love it, and it's always nice to read a book that has such deeper meanings and bring out this sadness of society and how freaking Zalchenko, like, they locked her up in an institution and let her mom just become a vegetable, basically, because they had granted him, like, political asylum and they had to protect him. And that was messed up. Let me know what you thought of this book. I love it so much. The vocabulary is awesome. The writing is awesome. Like, leave me in the comments what you thought of the book. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!